Hey traders, welcome back. Just wanted to give a quick update following the unexpected price action that we've been seeing the last couple of days, and also give some ideas on how we could trade in the coming days. So first of all, I'm on the monthly time frame. I just want to re-emphasize the importance of this monthly time frame. So as I mentioned before, we're clearly bearish on the monthly time frame. We broke the lows, we've pulled back, and we've pulled back into a monthly breaker block. If you look at the fib levels, we've come all the way back into OTE, tapped into OTE, and had a massive reaction off of it. And more importantly, the next candle, the next month, the current month that we're in right now in August, it's continue to push even lower. So if you look at this time frame, it's quite obvious that it does look bearish, and it does give the impression that we are just going to break this low and continue to the downside, at least to this fair value gap, and then we'll probably have a reaction from there, and then maybe continuation further to the downside thereafter. But if we go on the lower time frames, we have a different picture, but I want you to keep this in mind because the picture that we have on the lower time frames may confirm this picture. So if we go on the daily time frame, so on the daily time frame, you can see this was a draw on liquidity that I've been talking about. We've swept that, and after sweeping it, you can see we had a bullish candle after, and as of today, we're starting to have some continuation. We're only an hour into the new day, but you can see we are starting to push up a little, and this is actually a good thing. I'll go into that in a little more detail when we go on the lower time frames. So that's the most important thing here. We have our draw on liquidity, our daily draw on liquidity, which is going to be this fair value gap here. We also have these relative equal highs here, where we potentially could see you trying to push up to if this is the reaction of the draw on liquidity, and we get a pullback and potentially a reversal. So let's move forward to the lower time frame. So on the 4 hour, what can we see on the 4 hour? So drawing a few more things here. So this is a weekly fair value gap, this big blue box right here. You can see from this weekly fair value gap, we came 75% into it before we reversed. We also have, I mentioned it before, but this refined fair value gap that I have marked here, it's actually an inverse fair value gap, so it's balanced. So we came up here, created this fair value gap, and then this is a bullish fair value gap, and then we came into it, balanced it, and reacted and pushed off of it. So as it's right in the middle of the weekly fair value gap, and we've already had that prior reaction off of it before, I was expecting this 4 hour balanced fair value gap to most likely be the area where we reverse from. And as you can see, we fully filled that balanced fair value gap and had a massive reaction and pushed up to the upside. What we haven't done, we don't have a 4 hour confirmation of a shift yet. So this is the swing high on the 4 hour time frame. What I would like to see is a shift here to confirm that at least short term we're going to go higher. So whether we get that or not today, That remains to be seen. But if we do get that, then we'll probably come back and mitigate something in this area, and then potentially push higher. But I want to show you something really quick on DXY as well. So on DXY, this right here is the last down candle that we had on DXY before that massive push to the upside, and you can see we've already shifted on DXY. So we have a 4-hour confirmation on DXY. And one other thing I wanted to show you is this right here is a fair value gap from a long time ago that's never been filled. So this has been filled now. So we filled that with the last push up, and thereafter came down from there. But we also had right here this volume imbalance. So this is a daily volume imbalance. I'm just going to go to the daily. You can see it clearly right here. For whatever reason, we didn't get up that high and tap into that or fill that. So little curious. Gives you the impression that maybe we will at one point or another continue up to at least at minimum fill the volume imbalance before coming down. But then, like I said, we've already had a shift on this swing low right here, giving me the impression that we'll probably have a reaction now, push down a little lower, and then maybe pull back and come back up a little higher. But it's not really clear because we're not really seeing the same type of confirmations on the different pairs when we compare the US index, so DXY, with EU. So let me go back to EU. So yeah, we are starting to push up a little higher. I would really like to see that break so we get a confirmation. And then I'll look for shorts. If we go to the lower time frame, so if we look at the 15-minute, so what happened yesterday, I was expecting price to come up higher, come to some drawn liquidity level, and then come down and go for the drawn liquidity. But I wasn't expecting it to happen here. So we broke this 4-hour high, used that as liquidity, and also here came up to the order block here, and instead of sweeping that and coming up a little higher, and as I was hoping, the daily fair value gap here, we just turned around from here. And what I was thinking is, okay, it's just a pullback and we'll continue higher. But once we broke this low, we got our confirmation that it was going to go lower. And then I was thinking, okay, we have unmitigated areas here, mainly this one. I was thinking maybe this will hold, and we'll get a reversal from here. But as you can see, that didn't happen. We had a reaction off this demand, and then it just came into it was actually a breaker. I think I was using this as a breaker, and then there was a refined 5-minute zone that it came into, and then after that it plummeted. I actually took the short here, thinking that it wasn't going to hold and it was going to go lower from here. Unfortunately, I took that trade because it literally hit most of my TPs in just a few minutes. It was an awesome trade. But then when it came all the way down to the drawn liquidity, I said, okay, we had a massive reaction after that. I was trying to go long, but we didn't get the pullback that I was looking for. You can see on the 15-minute that it did come back into demand here, and thereafter started to push up. But I actually wanted it come a little lower because on the 5 minute there was areas of inefficiency that I thought the price would come to before pushing up, thinking that it would push up higher. But unfortunately that didn't happen. So this draw on liquidity, the sweep of the draw on liquidity, actually if you look a little more closely, it just looks like another relative equal low. Even though it did come below it, I mean, kind of looks like it, right? So I didn't think that at the time. I was thinking, it's swept liquidity, maybe it goes up from here. But instead of going up and pushing higher, what had happened is if you look at the fib level from focusing on New York session to the previous low, there was a fair value gap right here. It's hourly fair value gap. So let me go back to the 1 hour time frame. So you can see we have a 1 hour time frame fair value gap here. Our fib levels, if you look at it, why is it way down here? If you look at our fib levels from the low from yesterday, it came right into OTE, tapped the fair value gap. We had that news. It was German PMI news, which was quite awful, and price just plummeted after that. If I remember correctly, there was some 1 minute candles where it was consolidating, and then when the news came out, it dropped like 30 pips in one candle, and then it just continued further and further down after that. So for the shorts here, there was no way to enter into that trade. There was like not really, no, not even a breaker entry here. Just had a pullback, and then after that continuation to the downside. I was looking at I think it was a 5 minute time frame. I was looking at this area as a breaker, and I actually got in a short here, hoping that maybe it would go down further, but unfortunately it didn't. Unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how you look at it. But as I was in the short, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's going to go a little lower. But I think I took most of it off anyways at these lows, so it wasn't a problem for me that it came back and pushed to the upside thereafter, because I think it was this candle, yeah, I think it was this one that actually took me out, because I think I got in on this push up and my entry was right around here, right where price came into. So after that, price did come a little lower, but this was right around New York open, so this was New York pullback, and then after New York open it pushed lower and lower, and then we had the news. It was the New York PMI, which wasn't so good for the US, and obviously the dollar became weak, pushing EU up. We didn't really have an entry here. I wanted to see the break here before I started to look for entries, and as you can see, after the break we didn't have any pullback, so I wasn't able to get into this trade, and I didn't really want to chase it either, so I didn't look for any continuation trades. I was just watching to see how high it came before I started coming back down. But as you can see, we're already an hour and a half into the next day and it hasn't come down yet. We do have a shift right here, so potentially we start to come down from here. But I'm thinking a couple things. So first of all, I want to see this 4 hour candle break, because that'll confirm the shift. And we may start to be able to look for longs to take the price higher, but at the same time, I'm not fully convinced, even if we break this high, that it's going to continue up, because it's just coming into higher time frame PD arrays, and maybe this can be seen as a liquidity sweep, so a draw on liquidity before it takes price right back down. So if we get a sweep of this high, regardless of if I'm bullish or bearish, I'll be looking for shorts. And then if I'm able to get into a short, I'll start taking profits. This is a fib on the push up. I don't know where it's going to end, because if it sweeps it, then it could be up here. If this is a high and it starts coming down from here, I'll start taking profits at 50%. So 50% will be my first profit, because that'll put us down into discount if it decides to reverse. And if it continues down, even better, because I'll get more profits on that short. But I will take off more around, probably around the 70%, because that's a good area for price to come to for OTE, unless it starts to shift, and then I'll just close it. But the likelihood that I just keep something open is quite high, because like I said, the structure is not completely clear. It could come down further, but seeing this V-shaped recovery, and if we break the high, then that'll give more confidence that maybe it will come down to OTE and reverse and start to push up after. So that's how I'm looking at it. So regardless of what happens here, if we break the high or not, I'll start looking for shorts, and I'll prioritize shorts today, at least Japan and London session, and then see what happens during London session before I continue to look for shorts, like stacking and scaling in more shorts, or if I start to look for longs, because like I said, it's really unclear for me, because the bearish scenario is really in play, but at the same time we had this massive V-shaped recovery in the area that I was expecting the price to react to, and I can see a bigger pullback or potentially a reversal from now on as well. But I do have in the back of my mind the monthly time frame that we are very bearish, and it looks more like it's going to continue down than go up. But if it does continue up from here, that can change all of that. We are at the end of the month, so we have one week left on that monthly candle. It's very likely that we end the month with a bearish candle, unless this is confirmed a shift and we start to push up from here. So say for example we break this swing high, confirm the 4-hour shift, pull back into discount or OT area, and thereafter continue to push up. We do still have a couple big news events today and tomorrow. So today we have jobless claims later. If that's bad for the US, then it could skyrocket EU even more, especially after hitting the draw on liquidity. And then we have the Powell speech as well tomorrow. This one I'm less convinced that it's going to drive the price in one direction, because Powell speeches usually just causes whipsaws from what I remember. So that one for me is less likely to be a catalyst to drive price up, but the jobless claims could. It could really drive the price and continue throughout the night and maybe even into tomorrow. And if we start to go into this daily fair value gap and break further above that, then that monthly candle could end up being that bearish monthly candle that we currently have, may end up being a doji candle instead, and that would give a little more confidence that maybe it is going to turn around and start to push up again. I think I showed you guys before on the daily. on the daily, we are still bullish. So we're creating higher highs, higher lows until this low goes. Structure is still bullish, and right now we're in the OT area of this leg. We've hit our draw on liquidity, and if we start pushing up from here, then I mean that's still a very bullish scenario, and we may continue up and create a higher high after. So that's what I have in mind, but at the same time I do have that monthly time frame in mind as well, so I can really go both ways. But I'm hoping for a bullish scenario because I would like to see higher pricing. I would like to see this shift. I would like to see the pullback and get into longs, and then take the longs all the way to these highs and continue further. So anyways, that sums up the analysis for the day, what I'm seeing on the charts. The charts have been fooling me a lot. Fortunately, I haven't taken many losses, even when I'm wrong. And even when I'm wrong, I'll see something on the chart and then be right, and then end the day in profit. So the good thing is I'm still taking profits every day instead of being in drawdown, even though my initial analysis for the day is wrong. But anyways, be careful trading. We still have a month left in August. It'll probably continue to do things to throw off guard. And hopefully next week things will be a lot cleaner after we get through with August. Okay, anyways, that's it for me. I hope this analysis was useful for you. If you have any ideas on the markets or want to throw out your ideas, please comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you for the next one. Peace. Hey, you made it to the very end. Thanks for that. If you could do me one more favor and click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, it'll allow the YouTube algos to kick in and help this channel grow. Thanks again. Cheers.